Good morning, beautiful souls. Welcome to Tim in the Rain. It's week 41 of the Woodland Chronicles, and I'm very happy to be bringing you the beginnings of what look to be the very much autumnal editions. Morning. Yeah, that sensible chap there has an umbrella and I do not, so maybe next time. I'll just readjust the light a little bit. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, week 41. Week 40 last week was covered by my brother in the light, David Essery. And well, I did a presentation in Denmark at the Angel Congress, which I should think many of us who attended are still kind of decompressing from. It was such a beautiful event. And last night I presented with David a workshop upgrading the Ascension nervous system, which for what we are going through at the moment is essential. You might have heard me talking about it before. You'll have certainly heard David talking about it. The fact that what we're receiving on a light level brings our nervous system sometimes into a state of fight or flight, and that's not necessarily the fault of our nervous system. It's just doing its job. It's responding to our surroundings, the news, the media, the energy fields of the people that we know and love, all of the other things that we experience on a daily basis. But that's not what I want to talk about this morning. What I want to talk about this morning is light work and collective energy fields, how they work, how they sometimes do work when they're not managed properly, and also the distortions that we're being presented with in the field. Now, of course, I'm referring to the big event on the 22nd of October. Diana Cooper, Mia Kafkios, Adrian Lee and I are going to be joining 500 beautiful souls in Portugal, along with countless others around the world via live stream, to anchor in new packets of high frequency light and also experience on a worldwide level a monadic merge, which is going to step forwards the energies on this planet in a huge way. Now, we've experienced ascension jumps over the years, almost like pressure tests or situations to get us ready, but this is a big one. This is a shift that is going to alter our realities, the way that we experience our reality, the way that people around us respond to it, the structures that either flow with it or inhibit it. All of this is now going to be subject to change, but quicker than we would normally experience. Now, yesterday as a group, Diana, Mia, Adrian and I addressed a few questions. One of those was, how do we know what we are using is going to be legitimately, functioning for the light? Are we sure that we have set our energetic boundaries correctly? How do we know that the beings that we are working with are of the light and not imposters? And these are all legitimate questions, of course, because if you don't question what you're presented with, that's one of the first tests on the spiritual pathway. Question everything. If you are contacted by a higher being that you are not familiar with, that higher being, if it is of the light, will expect you to question its validity. It's one of those gateways, especially seeing as we have perceived for so long from 3D that we are, I mean, this is junior school stuff. This is what we are taught to do to set our boundaries in the light. And if they are not of the light, then we dismiss and we move on. It's as simple as that. But due to the fact that our discernment can be distorted, many of us just assume that everything that we're presented with is a gift from the heavens. Time and time again, we kind of go through this process. So naturally, people have been asking, how are Diana and I and Mia and Adrian ensuring that we are working to the highest frequency, and then we're not kind of like participating in something dark which has been disguised in the light? And the answer is, you know, without wishing to sound kind of too lofty, I've been doing this a long time, so has Diana and Mia and Adrian. We're all very well seasoned in who and what we connect with, and we are absolutely 100% certain that the energies that we are using is legitimate. We have been through the gateways, we've checked through what we are receiving, and most of that, most importantly, is told by the way, and this is how I checked, how did my heart feel when I was presented with this information? What was my immediate response? And to be absolutely honest, I checked and double checked, and I checked again until the energy felt right, until everything within the kind of the setup and the circumstances and the cohesion of the group is flowing perfectly, and now we're ready to rock and roll, basically. Now, there is a very distinctive way that energy works at this frequency. At 3D, which there's still plenty of 3D energies around, we have ample opportunity to engage in distortion or to receive something that maybe is disguised as light but isn't. Okay, and the kind of the matrix that we've been part of has indeed found many ingenious ways of disguising itself in order to attract our attention and draw us in. But the higher you go, the purer this stuff is. And what a lot of us overlook is that in the higher realms, there is no polarity as we experience it. There are beings that have disguised themselves as higher beings, but are not. But when you are working with light from the higher realms, anything above 5th dimensional frequency, it is not privy to distortion, okay? You cannot have this energy formulated in the way that it is presented in anything apart from its divine form. That's the way it works. So Diana has stated many times that the energy that's coming in is 11th dimensional. I mean, that's way up there. It's, you know, when you're talking about 11th dimensional energy, it's just numbers at the end of the day. It's getting on towards source frequency. Many of us are only just learning to connect with it. If we do, we have kind of fleeting glimpses, we anchor it in, but this is what all of the preparation has been about. And yes, that is what we're receiving. This light that is coming in, what we are anchoring, the process that we are going through together is not open to the lower realms. What they will be trying to do is prevent it from occurring, which we've already experienced. We've experienced kind of disharmony, distortions in the field, lots of technical issues, you know, it's and all of these other little bits and pieces, but the kind of the cohesion and the sanctity of the unit that we are working with is not open to corruption. That's not touchable. So That's the way higher frequency energy works. All of you that will be kind of gathering and joining in from around the world, set your intentions, set your field, set your light, and work without fear. Okay, that's the important thing. Once you start kind of letting doubts creep in, maybe information from other people, particularly from more fear-based sources, that's when things start to get mixed up, when they start getting murky. So work from the heart. If you're working from the heart, you can do no wrong. If you're putting energies out into the field under the law of grace, they will go to exactly where they are needed to go to. And that applies not just to the work that we're doing on the 22nd, but to all of the work that we're involved with. It kind of reminds me a little bit of if you kind of rewind 6 months back into the summer, when I was kind of talking about also quite a few different communications I'd had. Communications that I had with people who were saying, you know, I've received information that Archangel Michael is of the dark and Commander Ashtar is this, that and the other. It's of course there are beings on the opposite end of the scale, the opposite end of polarity, who are kind of mimicking the souls of the light. But again, this is down to our discernment to bring it through the heart gateway to actually assess and to tell who it is that we're dealing with, who it is that we're working with. So that is kind of a summary of what I wanted to talk about. Now, the other thing is that we will be using crystal grids on the day. I will, of course, be heading to Portugal with a nice big juicy suitcase full of crystals, and I'll be setting up a working grid. Now, the grid that we've identified, or the shape is diamond shape, to hold the energies of Diana, Mia, Adrian and myself. So working as a 4 in a diamond shape. And in the video yesterday I said it would be a lovely idea if everybody, wherever they are in the world, could also make a grid of similar. It doesn't have to be the same size, it doesn't matter what size it is, even whether it is big, whether it is small. You can fit it on a postcard if you want, it still work. Now, I will be using quartz, okay, to answer the questions that I've received. Quartz is your friend. You can anchor any energies, any light into quartz. The way to work with it is to state to the quartz right at the very beginning what you want it to do. So you set your intention when you're working with a crystal. Hold it in your hands, or hold them in your hands if you have multiple crystals, like you probably will for a grid. Channel or speak your intention into them, and then lay them out in the formation. Then you call in the higher light, say the gold ray of Christ. You anchor that into the grid. I'll be anchoring Helios into the grid. There will be Lyra energies, Andromedan energies, and all of these will assist very powerfully on the day for the light that is coming in to be held. This is how it works. A lot of people think that working with crystals is more complicated than it is, but it's not. We're the ones that are complicated. We overthink things. If you watch children with crystals, they are simple. They don't use their mind so much, they just do. So use your heart, use your imagination, kind of embrace anybody from the higher realms that's stepping forwards, the dragons, the unicorns, the higher galactics, and just, it's going to be a bit of a party. It's going to be a huge amount of light, but for any grid work, working with crystals at any point, they are an extension of you. So whereas I'll be using my specific quartz pieces, I will have anchored, they'll be attuned to me, they'll be attuned to the group energy, and they'll be attuned to the job that I want them to do. Now that will be something I will have given the crystal verbal instructions to do. I'll have held it in my hand and I'll have spoken to the diva, the elemental of the crystal, and produced or created a state of harmony between me and the crystal. And then the crystal will go about bringing in whatever it can connect with and radiating it hundreds of times more brightly and more powerfully than we can as kind of carbon-based life forms. That's where we are with it at the moment. So crystals on the day will be of an amazing benefit. And so yeah, that's the overall summary of, I know this is kind of building already on information that you might have heard or received yesterday that we were talking about, but we only had a little bit of time online and I just wanted to expand on it because this doesn't just apply to the work that we're doing together on the 22nd. This is very kind of specific energy protocols that I use all the time through experience, you know, time working in this field, trial and error, and most importantly, when we get together on any day, at any time, and apply our unity, our heart-centeredness to elevate frequencies to create a higher state, that's when the real magic, that's when the real alchemy happens. Because one or two of, you know, one person anchored in their mighty I am presence can create miracles. You know, imagine the focused light that all of us are going to create, regardless if there's any resistance or any pushback from the 3D matrix around the world. What we create will be held in an energy of utter sanctity, and that is the way that we should be working all of the time, in any space, at any given moment, using the light and the intention of our hearts. So whatever we're being presented with at the moment, it's all a learning process, it's all a lesson. The preparations, the way that your nervous system may or may not be speaking to you. I know mine's been speaking to me for some time now, saying, take care of yourself. Do more early morning walks in the rain, because it's something that I enjoy. And I do enjoy walking and talking and speaking to all of you lovely souls out there, just as much as I love sitting under my magical tree and conveying information. But this morning it wasn't to be missed. But you did miss the heaviest of the rain. Just before I got to the woods, it really, really chucked it down. So that, my lovelies, is pretty much what I have to say on the matter. It's powerful times that we live in. The changes that we are experiencing are nothing short of cosmic miracles, and certainly what is coming up for us at the moment is an opportunity for all of us to kind of jump very rapidly into a higher frequency that is going to serve the forward movement of this planet. But one thing I will say is I did not expect the level of forward movement and the progress that we're seeing this year, it's nothing short of mind-blowing. And what's even more heart-opening is the amount of us that are now coming together in unity. The amount of people that are awake is cause for celebration alone. It's amazing. All of these beautiful lights popping on around the world. And one thing that I will just part company with, I'll just finish by saying, is that I'm sure you are aware very much of the incredible pushes by 3D to create more conflict, war. This is something that we've also been prepared for. We've been told by the higher realms that this is going to happen. We are going to see this disharmony. We're going to see these attempts to create division, fear, war, conflict, all of these things. So that is now why it is even more important to work together, create alchemy from the heart, to prevent it spiraling into a state where we've got more to do in the long run. So from my heart to yours, sending you all so much love, and I'll be back on Monday morning for hopefully a dry meditation. Bye for now.